Hello, everyone. First off, I'd like to thank Loy as a distinction for helping promote and organize this great event. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Chase Williams. I'm the managing partner of Market My Market. We help law firms generate new business by implementing the right marketing systems and strategies via SEO, paid ads via Google, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. I'm super excited to be a part of this webinar today. For those of you that do not know Michael Mogul, he is a rock star in the legal industry. As CEO of Crisp Video Group, the nation's fastest growing marketing company, and author of The Game Changing Attorney, he's helped thousands of law firms differentiate themselves and earn millions in new revenue. He's also written for publications such as Forbes, Avvo, ABA Journal, The Trial Lawyer, Huffington Post, and Wall Street Journal. Michael knows his stuff. With that being said, I'll pass the torch over to you, Michael.
Thank you, Chase. Thank you. Well, I'm honored as well to be on this webinar that we're doing together. And it's interesting, especially the topic is quite timely, right? So how to market your law firm to millennials. And what's interesting is that we've got two millennials literally talking about how to market your law firm to millennials, which is, I think, probably the best way to learn, especially because we run two millennial organizations. Like our team, our average age just across our organization is 26, and nearly every single person is younger than 36 on our team. And I believe that's similar to your team as well.
Correct. Yeah, we're 100% millennials over here at Market My Market. And we were briefly chatting before just about how I think millennials have such a bad connotation. They don't want to work hard, but I found it's very untrue. I've got some of the hardest workers, and I've gotten the privilege of working with some of your team over at Crisp, and I can tell they're on par with the workers that we have. So I'm super excited to be presenting with you today.
Absolutely, man. And I'm a big believer in just, we're just building the best team possible. If we can accomplish it through 90-year-old men, and that would yield optimal productivity, we would do that. But we have found it is actually the millennials. So that is what we'll be talking about today. How to market your law firm to millennials. And I feel like sometimes when people talk about the word millennial, they almost like treat it like they're aliens or something like that. Like it's this foreign type of something, you just don't understand their behavior. So I'm hoping that by the end of this webinar, it'll help to shed some light on that in terms of how millennials operate, how to market to them, how to leverage them within your own organization, create great environments and teams and so on. So that's really everything we'll be talking about. And then for those that make it through to the end of the webinar, the patient ones, we've got a free download of the first chapter of our book, The Game Changing Attorney. You can go on Amazon and buy this thing, or Barnes & Noble, or you can get the first chapter for free. So if you like free. So what we'll be talking about today is the defining characteristics of the millennial generation, changes in how these so-called millennials are selecting and hiring attorneys and what to do about it, how to leverage social media to reach your ideal client, which may actually be a millennial, and then actionable ways to reach millennials, improve your marketing, and boost ROI. So if you are not interested in any of those things, this is a great time to sign off the webinar. But if any of those things are of interest, let's go ahead and dive right in to the millennial generation. So as we look at, it's in the defining the millennial. So there's different schools of thought in terms of what is the exact age range of a millennial, but Gen Y, as these millennials are so known, is typically aged between 22 and 36. And as you can see, each generation over the years has really experienced a series of different major events in their generation. So everything from World War II to the Civil Rights Movement, the Cold War, Vietnam, 9/11, and now, we've even got generations go beyond millennials, Generation Z, or can you even imagine being a part of Generation Alpha? Those are children aged under 7 years old. This is very fascinating to me, Chase. What are your thoughts on all these different generations? I sometimes can't tell you who's Y, Z, Alpha, Beta. I'm assuming that's the one that comes after Alpha.
Yeah, I think I've got family that are definitely in Generation X and Y, and they sometimes refer to themselves as millennials. And then I have kids that are in Generation Alpha. So I know that as time progresses and as people get older, I think a lot of these generations are going to start blending together as technology brings people together.
That's right. That's right. Absolutely. And then so I guess to dive a little deeper nowadays millennials make up nearly half of the American workforce, and that's growing. That number is increasing, and they make up about 25% of the U.S. population. So the fact that there's over 80 million millennials in the U.S. implies that these millennials will soon be taking over, and this is the most diverse generation. So this is something to definitely pay attention to, as your audience could be changing, and being able to effectively market to millennials, who will make up the majority of the U.S. population, is going to be much more important year over year. So in terms of some of the defining characteristics, I think these are some of the positive ones, right? So like interconnected, digital pioneers, team-oriented, but then at the same time, who could argue that they crave attention, they need their trophies, and they're quite impatient. So we'll talk about ways to actually leverage these into strengths. So let's see, we got more about millennials, and more importantly, who are they and why should you actually even care about how they make decisions? Well, it's actually quite interesting in terms of how your general legal consumer versus a millennial make decisions in terms of reaching out to legal counsel. So 72% of average legal consumers contact an attorney first when a legal need arises, but only about 47% of millennials do that when a legal need arises. They'll reach out to a friend, they'll go online, they'll do a search. We'll talk about some of the ways in which they actually research attorneys and select attorneys, which is a little bit different from how some of the older generations are doing it. So the actual behavior is changing, but they're projected to yield about $1.4 trillion in spending power by 2020. So the millennial generation is definitely one to pay attention to. So they're most definitely in need of your services. I mean, that I always find this slide interesting in the sense that millennials, as much as we talk about these so-called aliens, are also quite regular human beings, in that they're starting businesses, renting properties, buying homes, starting families, and they do drive cars, or they take Ubers and Lyfts. So if you're an attorney and you market to any people who happen to do any of these things, the millennial generation is certainly one to pay attention to. But here's a really interesting part that we can talk about in terms of millennial stereotypes. So we'll talk about myths versus facts. So this is, there's the stereotype that millennials are lazy and entitled, but quite often what we find is that they've actually found ways to work smarter by leveraging technology to their advantage to automate things. This is especially great to leverage within your business. The other stereotype is that they're impatient. Well, it's true, because they've grown up in the on-demand society, where now they can get something through Amazon Prime Now in an hour. They can get on-demand Uber. They're not used to waiting, so they are expecting quick and easy information. And if your law firm is able to provide it, they're more likely to actually reach out to you. The other stereotype is that millennials are snowflakes, but it turns out that millennials are actually very socially conscious, and they want to do business with brands and companies that promote social causes and give back to their communities. So they want to do business with brands essentially that exist for reasons beyond simply making money. And then finally, millennials are addicted to technology. This one is true, but you can use this to your advantage. So Chase, anything to add here?
No, I think you covered it perfectly.
Beautiful. All right. So as far as how millennials make decisions, we'll dive into each one of these a bit deeper as we go through the webinar. But one is social media. 62% millennials, they feel loyal to brands that sincerely engage with them on social media. There's also mobile search. It's that device that millennials all carry around with them. In fact, I guess we all carry it around with them. But 61% of smartphone users are unlikely to return to a website they have trouble accessing on their phone. So meaning the website is not mobile friendly, which we'll soon talk about. And then finally, instant gratification. So as we mentioned, millennials expect easy and oftentimes immediate access to information that they're searching for online. So this is where we'll talk about things like chatbots, anything that can provide almost like instant and immediate responses to any type of legal questions, legal inquiries. Millennials don't love submitting a form and hearing back 2 or 3 days later. By that point, they have likely hired another law firm that is probably not you if it took you 3 days to get back to someone. So there's good ways in which you can leverage technology to make sure that you are able to provide that instant gratification that millennials so crave. And then also, in terms of how millennials make decisions, we'll talk about content types like customer-centric content, social proof, and then, of course, social responsibility. So let's dive into the first one, which is social media. So social media, I'm hoping that we are all using some form of social media, or even if you happen to be completely against social media, because I've met many people that say they do not use Facebook and they will not create a Facebook profile. I respect that. But if your clients do, at the very least, have a Facebook business page. So using social media to market your law firm and market to millennials, as I'd mentioned, a large majority of millennials feel loyal to brands that engage with them on social, and that they use social media to actually find information and research brands, products, and law firms. So if you're asking yourself, that's great, what social platforms, Mike, what platforms should you use? Because there's a plethora of them. I'll basically shortcut this whole process for you. The true answer is you should use any social platform where your clients spend their time. So whatever that might be. But if you had the 80-20 Pareto of this whole thing, it's probably Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Instagram. But you're wondering, what about Snapchat? What about Vibe? It basically was Vine, anything like that? Absolutely. If your clients are primarily under the age of 16 years old, then Snapchat could be a really great place to be able to market and engage with them. So it really comes down to wherever it is that your audience spends their time. And this is something so on this next graph, this is actually something you can look at in the sense of social media usage by age across different platforms. And on the bottom, you've got the different social platforms. So really pay attention to this in terms of your ideal client, what their age range is, and the trend that you'll see is pretty much the leading two across every age is Facebook and YouTube.
Yeah, definitely, Mike. I also think that a lot of people or a lot of law firms don't want to use social media, but I know a lot of millennials use social media as social proof. So if they're researching and looking to hire a law firm and they don't have a Facebook or don't have any activity on Instagram, sometimes that they'll want to go with an alternate attorney who is posting, who is putting out informational content.
Absolutely. I mean, what's interesting is there's so much competition out there, and there's always so much there's no shortage of content, if you will. But the fact that we find that some attorneys are still reluctant to be posting on these social platforms where your average user is spending at least 2 hours a day of their time. I mean, if you know of any place where pretty much all of your clients could spend at least 2 hours a day of their time, and you're not marketing there in some form, I think you're doing yourself a disservice and you're missing out on a tremendous opportunity. So, since we're talking about Facebook, Facebook's now reached 2.38 billion users. I think there's something around like 8 billion people on the planet. So that's pretty amazing to have that level of world share. And nearly half of millennials, I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing, get their news from Facebook. So this is quite fascinating, and as we've seen the trends, not just Facebook, but even platforms like YouTube, where YouTube has now actually eclipsed TV in terms of the number of hours of video a day. YouTube actually is already reaching more 18 to 49-year-olds than any cable network in the US. And I find this one very fascinating in the sense that really think about where your attention goes when a TV commercial comes on. Usually, if you're watching people, you'll see that they'll gravitate to their phone. And ironically, they usually go on Facebook or some other social platform, whether it's Instagram, LinkedIn, what have you. So this does not mean that TV is not effective. We found TV to still be quite effective. We know many firms that are doing quite well with their TV advertising, but it's just getting more expensive in terms of the cost of acquisition going up. So it's just the fact that consumers are responding less, and especially with a lot of cord cutting. So now there's services like YouTube TV where it's live TV, and it even has live sports, but it doesn't require the cable box. So a lot of millennials, and not even just millennials, but really prefer to watch content on demand. So platforms like Netflix, Hulu, and so on. So there's opportunities to explore that, and even OTT advertising. So being able to advertise on platforms like Hulu.
I think a lot of lawyers will be surprised at the low cost per view for an advertisement on YouTube as well, and how granular and specific you can get on who you're actually trying to reach, whether it's via zip code or a certain type of person. I think, have you seen that on your end?
Absolutely. I will argue that there is nothing more cost effective on a cost per view or more targeted right now, as of today, than a 6-second YouTube bumper ad. I mean, you're like that, and that's the video that plays essentially before a YouTube video. So like sometimes if you're pulling up a YouTube video and there's that ad that plays, that 6-second bumper ad, we are finding it's like 1 to 2 cents per view to a targeted audience. And the best part, you can't skip it. You got to watch all 6 seconds. You literally cannot watch the Avengers trailer or anything else that you might be there on YouTube for before you watch that 6-second bumper ad. Now, does that mean that 6-second ad is going to lead to a huge influx of new leads and things like that? It's unlikely that someone is going to abandon what they were doing and why they were going to YouTube to visit, to click on your law firm, visit the law firm, fill out a contact form, schedule an appointment. That's pretty unlikely. but is there a value to them seeing that ad 100,000 times and then converting later through a branded search? We've seen that to be absolutely the case. So it's just at the cost right now, I don't know that you can get something that will give you greater reach at a higher frequency for a lower cost. So
I agree.
so in terms of using social media to market your law firm, the main thing I would suggest here is just that not all platforms are created equal, in the sense that what works on one platform, let's say on Facebook, it would be different from what works on YouTube. The same way, if you're experiencing, let's say, a lot of success running TV commercials, if you try to run those same TV commercials on the internet, you'll find that they actually don't respond. People typically don't respond in the same way. So it works in a more direct response format. It may not always work as well on a social platform. So it's important to be able to optimize for the platform that you are using. So meaning that you use that platform natively and in the right format. So there's, just as an example, like on Instagram, videos are typically square shaped. You can get more real estate that way. What works on Facebook with in-stream ads is different than what works on YouTube with bumper ads. So always make sure that you're uploading to that platform directly. Another example of what not to do would be posting a YouTube video on Facebook. Just remember that these platforms, the way in which they monetize, you are the monetization, by the way. So they don't really sell a service or product, you are the product, which is their user base. So their goal is to be able to keep you on the platform for as long as possible, which means that if you post a YouTube video on Facebook and that takes you off of Facebook, well, Facebook doesn't really want to give those posts as much reach as if you were to directly upload your video to Facebook, which would keep users on Facebook. So that is probably the most valuable takeaway in terms of being able to leverage the platforms effectively, but then also engaging. If you have comments, people are talking about the content, if they're reaching out to you and they have questions, things like that, being able to engage with them, don't just ignore them, especially don't ignore the millennials, right? Because you ignore those people, they'll go online and just destroy you on Google reviews, maybe. And then the other thing is just posting consistently. So the fact of social platforms is, because the attention spans are so short, if you're only posting once a month, that is not nearly enough. I mean, we've seen success sometimes posting 3 to 5 times a day per platform. I know others that are posting 20 times a day per platform. But between how the newsfeed algorithms are optimized and then the size of your audience and so on, sometimes the platforms will automatically optimize it. But for most people, I would say they're just generally not posting enough. What are your thoughts on that, Chase?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest takeaway is always be testing. You know, I see some clients that we work with where we post one time a day and it's great. Others we post one time every other day. So I mean, it just depends on the audience, who they're trying to reach, what they're saying, how engaging their content is too. I think that's really important. A lot of times I think people put out content just to put out content, and focusing more on like quality content, where if you're going to say something, we want people to open that up. We want people to watch the video. We want people to read the article and hopefully capture that person as a lead. So just keeping that in mind. So if you do have enough great content, let's say you have these beautiful videos and you've sliced them up, and you're able to break it up into 3 or 4 posts a day and do a campaign that's really beautiful for an entire month. I think 100% go ahead and do that, but really focusing on the quality and really thinking to yourself, if someone sees this, are they going to be engaged? Does it give them value?
Absolutely, absolutely. And then when you're uploading this content, taking it a step further and really optimizing it. So making sure that let's say if you're doing things like videos on YouTube, that you optimize things like tags and titles and video descriptions. You can even customize the thumbnail to make it more engaging and more appealing, especially if that's a video that's embedded somewhere else or posted on another platform, or it's even, let's say it's embedded on your own website. You can actually choose the thumbnail or upload one of your own. So there's a lot of benefits here in terms of getting content, just getting people to respond to it much more. Also, if we're talking about platforms like Facebook here, for example, you can actually multi-purpose content that you can create. Let's say you've got a blog post that you write on your website. Not only could you post the blog post on Facebook, but you could theoretically turn that blog post into a little infographic, or you could turn the blog post into a video. So there's ways to be able to extend your existing content further and just use it in multiple places. That way, the investment you make in content you can get much more out of every single piece. And then be careful to avoid any clickbaiting or engagement baiting. Various platforms, I know Google cracked down on this, Facebook's been cracking down on this. So anything that's like, like this post for a chance to, if here's this lottery ticket, if we win, we'll share it with everybody. We'll split the earnings with everybody that liked the post. Like, they're cracking down on that stuff. So that's called engagement baiting. We'll let people like if they want to like, and usually they'll like, comment, and share if the content to them is actually engaging in some way. It does not mean they actually have to like the content. It just means they have to emotionally respond to it in some way. And we see this in the political realm quite often. So the actual type of posts right now that get the most engagement for brands, I did not create this graph and buffer, even though we run a company called Crisp Video, but on Facebook, it's video. It is most definitely getting the highest amount of engagement. And you probably see this if you're on Facebook, because you're scrolling through the news feed. It's the majority of it is video content, and that's what people are responding quite well to. But on a platform like Twitter, it's actually photos. So then the next item, we talked about social media. Now let's talk about mobile search. This one is so important. And there's always these stats, and I sometimes feel like we're presenting these stats. It's almost like we're justifying errors in terms of being important to breathing oxygen. So I think people nowadays know that millennials, 99% of them own smartphones. I'd hate to be the 1% of millennials that doesn't, but the reality is that we're on our phones, and being able to optimize specifically for that device that someone carries on them all day long. That's how they're searching for businesses. They're searching for law firms. They're reaching out to law firms. They're submitting forms. They're calling from their phones. So if your website has a poor mobile experience, you're putting yourself at a disadvantage, especially now in the mobile age. And there's now what's been called Google's mobile first index, and that Google has updated their algorithm, and this was a little over a year ago now, where they're ranking websites primarily based on their mobile experience, with the desktop experience actually being ranked second. So what that means for your law firm essentially is that if your site's not optimized for mobile, you may actually see a drop in website traffic, as Google's giving higher SEO placement to sites that have a better mobile experience. Chase, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I 100% agree. One of our core services is web design, and we're at a point now where we're giving mobile mockups first. So really talking out with the client, asking the points they want to convey, and then presenting them with a mobile mockup first. And then it's much easier once you have that compacted into mobile to transfer it over to desktop versus building out a beautiful website for a desktop experience and then trying to essentially compress all of that information into a cell phone. So definitely seeing that trend. We're focusing on rankings for mobile, and I think continuously, over the years, just looking at how many, like we're seeing some people like on some sites, we're seeing traffic as much as like 80% of the traffic coming through that's just on mobile. So it's a huge focus for us, and I know it's a huge focus for Google as well.
Excellent. And now, I mean, I guess, Chase, if you could briefly mention, in terms of the site design that you guys do, which is largely responsive, this is always great in the sense that it's not always mobile phones. It's pretty much any type of device, right? So it could be an iPad. I mean, really anything. So long as the site's responsive, it will be able to be optimized if the site's pulled up on any type of device.
Correct.
Excellent. So optimizing for the mobile first index. There's several best practices when it comes to mobile optimization. You'll definitely want to be able to test your website's loading speed, and you can do this by just Googling Google's page speed insights. So you could run that on your website. You can consider switching over your blog to Google AMP, and you can even try to optimize for keywords for voice search, which is a whole different animal, because there's been a huge trend in platforms like Siri and Alexa and so on to really be able to boost the chances of being found on mobile. Chase, I am curious about this one though, because I've heard mixed things about the AMP in terms of accelerated mobile pages. Have you guys found this to have any type of SEO impact, or is it just a better user experience and that the site, like a blog post will load immediately?
So all I can say about that, without getting on Google's bad side, is I know they were really pushing AMP. We transferred over some clients over to it, and now I don't believe that we have any more clients that were on AMP anymore. So just based off of, like I always say, test, see if it works for you. But I don't think any of our clients are currently on AMP. But sort of piggybacking off of what you said for optimizing keywords for voice search, there's an awesome website called Answer the Public. If you're curious about what people are are asking Siri and asking Alexa. It could be related to your law firm. It could not be, but it's a really great tool. It visualizes everything for you. Um, but but I hope that answers your question about AMP and adds a little value about the voice search.
Excellent. So that website is Answer the Public.
Correct.
Man, I just wrote that down. I hope everybody else wrote that down. Awesome. All right. So then in that case, like, what are the benefits of mobile first optimization? Well, they found that websites that load in 5 seconds or less on mobile see 70% longer time on site, and the other sites that load in longer than 5 seconds, probably people just go somewhere else because they're impatient and they need instant gratification. Who wants to wait more than 5 seconds for a website to load? But the data shows there's not actually that many people. So the reality is, you want your site to be able to load quickly. Otherwise, they're just going to go somewhere else. And I'm sure we've all seen this, not necessarily when we're searching for law firms, but maybe you're looking up restaurants and you click on the restaurant page, this thing takes too long to load. Next, and you go on to the next one. So as we were talking about voice search and mobile queries, so this one's interesting. Chase, if you could talk to us about just Google's featured snippets, why do they matter? How does this stuff come up? And also, I'm sure that there's law firm owners that are looking at this. You know, when you type in a Google search and you actually see these featured snippets, and they're thinking, oh man, like, are they never going to click to my website ever again because they'll just get their answer from Google? What would you say to that?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of our goals and one of our metrics, we try to measure how many clients we can actually get on the featured snippets. So a lot of it is answering questions and then presenting the content in bullet form. That really helps, but there's a lot of different other things that you could do, specifically what's known as schema markup on your website. But it's definitely a goal of ours because you're able to take up so much real estate there, and right away it adds credibility. So essentially if a millennial sees you on the feature snippets, we've seen that it really drives traffic and backs up that credibility. And then if you're even a one step further, I know that example didn't show a picture, but getting a picture there as well, it really helps your chances of converting and just having that space on the top of Google. Even a lot of times we're seeing the snippets above the ads. So there's a ton of value there.
Absolutely. I agree wholeheartedly. So now it is time to talk about instant gratification. And for the person who's been watching this webinar that's been waiting for this one, we provided delayed gratification, but essentially this one is huge amongst millennials. And when millennials are researching your law firm, they want answers fast. They don't want to wait. Who wants to wait these days when you can get an Uber in 5 minutes, or you can get something delivered to your house, whether it's Uber Eats, Postmates, or anything like that, in 30 minutes from any restaurant in your entire like city. It's incredible. So they want to make sure that they're actually, there's now an expectation almost that every form of interaction comes with this actual instant gratification, and we see the converse of it. So in fact, that there's been studies, this one was in the Harvard Business Review, but they found that after 5 minutes, so once a form comes in, after the first outreach, there's actually a 10 times decrease in the odds of you making contact with a lead if you wait longer than 5 minutes to reach out to them. So if you waited 6 minutes, isn't that wild? And that number actually continues to decline as you get to 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20, and so on. So if you're waiting a day or two to get back to someone, can you imagine like what has transpired during that time if after 5 minutes you're seeing a 10 times decrease in the odds of actually making contact? So this means that you need to be immediately responsive. Maybe not you personally, but perhaps someone on your team, an intake company, something, because intake is huge. And I would also argue, I would almost argue in the sense that intake might be the single most important aspect that's being underserved at law firms, and having intake being done effectively. It's not a shortage of leads per se these days. I really think it's in the quality of the intake and how firms are responding to their inbound leads. Chase, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with that. There's so many times we'll have that conversation. Hey, it's been slow, and we pull up the leads. We're tracking everything from a phone call to where that phone call is coming from. Did you follow up with this person? And a lot of times it's like, oh, my assistant followed up. And I'm truly baffled to see the statistics you presented with 5 minutes. We try to stress like, hey, get in touch with them as soon as you can. Text them, email them, call them, and then literally you do this until they tell you to leave them alone. That's what you need to do, because especially millennials are doing the research. They're looking on Avo, they're looking on Yelp, they're using all these resources to figure out if this attorney is the right attorney for them. I think it's very different than back in the day where it's like, hey, use this attorney I used. I know there's always like that form of referral, but I know myself, if someone gives me a recommendation, I'm still doing my due diligence. I'm still doing my research. And I think if I'm reaching out to an attorney, I want to have that personalization, and I want to know right away that my needs are going to be met. So that quick response to my inquiry, I think it's super, super important.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And if you're watching this and you're thinking, how could I possibly make contact with a lead in less than 5 minutes? There is a way, and you can even automate it. So the ways in which you can use instant gratification to your advantage is the fact that there are what are called live chat, which we see probably across nearly every single law firm website in America. So I'm sure that you guys are familiar with this one already, but there's also chat bots. So these are, and there's different ones. There's ones on social platforms like Facebook where you can have a chatbot set up, but there's also chatbots you can have on your website. So platforms like Drift and so on, where you can literally have a sequence set up. It's almost like choose your own adventure, where someone can fill out nearly a complete intake form, qualify themselves, get notified if they might have a case, and I actually set an appointment. It's amazing, and they can do this 24/7, 365. These chatbots will work. They don't complain. They don't need workers' comp. They will literally work for you, and there's nothing better than being able to wake up the following morning, come into the office, and know that you just got a dozen leads while you were sleeping, because people get injured at all hours, and they have legal needs at all hours. But I was not sure. I didn't believe this at first. I was like, there's no way you're going to get a case through a Facebook chat bot, right? Like a messenger bot. I just couldn't believe it. I thought maybe people would chat there, but I didn't know that you could actually get a case. Well, a few years ago, I was wrong. So we actually, and this is a actual Facebook Messenger chatbot. Somebody messaged and said that they just got into a motorcycle accident. They got rear-ended by a pickup truck. They need assistance. Here's their name. My wife was with me. She was taken to the hospital. The response here is completely automated. This person was able to go in, request the appointment, create the appointment. Everything was handled. This is a motorcycle accident case, all through Facebook messengers. And this is so amazing to me in the sense that the first thing this person thought to do after getting into a motorcycle accident was not go online and search in Google or try to find an attorney. They went on Facebook. And the fact that this firm had a messenger bot set up, completely automated, they were able to get this client and get this case. So when you look at this from the standpoint of how can you use chatbots to grow your law firm, well, the first and foremost thing we've been talking about is they just boost response time, but they also allow you to screen incoming leads and pre-qualify them. So somebody can actually really talk about their specific case, whether they have a case, and those same screening questions that you may use on an intake call, someone can actually do before they reach out to you, before they set that appointment, so they can pre-qualify them. It allows you to schedule consultations, obtain great client insights, and then even that send out important announcements. I'll tell you that many of these chatbots, especially something like Facebook Messenger, these have almost a 100% open rate. They're like text messages in a way. Who does not check their Facebook notifications? But if you're looking at something like emails, which oftentimes may have, let's say, an 18, 20% open rate, it doesn't even compare. So there's a lot of opportunity here. If you're wondering what kind of chatbots can I use, Facebook has one natively built into the platform that you can use, and that one's free. And then there's other platforms like some of these that we've listed out that you can use. They're paid platforms. They're not very expensive. I think they're like $10 a month or something like that. This also does not require a deep level of technical knowledge or coding or anything like that. They're all very intuitive. They're kind of like, they're drag and drop, and they're very simple to set up. So at the very least, I mean, you really have nothing to lose in terms of having this set up on your social platforms, certainly on Facebook, and being able to leverage them. What are your thoughts, Chase?
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole industry now built around chatbots and messenger bots. I know there's even really there's a really big conference. I'm here in Austin, Texas, coming to Austin in the next month or so. It's solely focused just on chatbots. So it's definitely an emerging industry. And one thing I always tell my clients is the sooner you can get on something that's trending that your competitors aren't doing, especially something like this where it's so automated. You set it up one time, you're going to have the one up.
Absolutely. And when chatbots have their own conference, it's time to start paying attention. And this is so interesting in the sense that everybody who's attending this webinar, I truly believe you're at an advantage, because it seems at times that the legal industry, it takes a few years to catch up to other industries that are doing marketing, and then the firms that are taking advantage earlier for things like chatbots, different types of workflows, whether it's automation and all of that, are the ones that are at a significant advantage and usually gain a much higher percent of the market share. And then of course, other firms will eventually catch on, but being able to do something like this and seeing that this is not a webinar of what's coming. This is rather a webinar of what already is. I mean, chatbots you can already order Domino's pizza through a chatbot. There's now chatbots for pretty much everything. So why not have one for your law firm as well? So our fourth millennial strategy is creating customer-centric content. You're probably wondering, well, how does customer-centric content differ from content? So customer-centric marketing is essentially a marketing philosophy that puts the individual customer or client at the center of marketing, design, and delivery. So what this essentially means is that you cater your marketing to that specific target audience and that specific type of client. So as an example, if you're a personal injury lawyer, the marketing that you might do focusing around motorcycle accidents will be different from trucking accidents or medical malpractice or so on, that you make it practice area specific and sometimes even demographic specific, that it is very much focused on catering to that individual client profile and making that content much more memorable. So the experts of the customer-centric experience, without a doubt, I would say it's Amazon and then Zappos, and Amazon has actually acquired Zappos, so it's just a match made in heaven. Chase, I know you know these companies quite well, but there's also a great book out there that exists from the founder of Zappos.
Yeah, delivering happiness. I always recommend it to anybody in customer service. And I think that it's not just a BS book either that was written a couple of years ago. I personally, within the past year, I had a business question that I emailed Tony, the CEO, and he responded. So I mean, something that just shows you the level of integrity Zappos still has to this day. But the book it's called Delivering Happiness.
Yes, that is like the culture book, without doubt. I mean, we have every team member read it. If you're looking for a great book on just team culture, even just a great book overall, check out Delivering Happiness. And as we talk about the customer-centric experience, if you're thinking, well, why does this matter? Well, sometimes it's not just the benefits of doing it, but the potential opportunity cost or downside of neglecting it. So if you neglect the unique needs and desires of your customers in your marketing strategy, you're missing out on opportunities to not only increase your firm's revenue, but also establish brand authority and improve the retention of your clients. So it's basically saying, well, I don't really care about millennials. No problem. Soon they will occupy about 80% of potential consumers and clients. And if you do not care about their needs, and there's another law firm in your market that really does care about their needs, where do you think they will go? And how do you think that will impact that firm's market share? So in terms of creating customer-centric marketing and marketing content, the first step is to always develop your ideal client persona. So really looking at you look at a subsegment of all of your clients and saying, what are our top 20%? What are the things that they have in common? Whether it's age, gender, demographic, do they live in homes or apartments? Do they listen to particular types of music? Do they attend certain types of events and so on? And really building those those links between them, you're able to then identify their unique needs. This can not only just be their needs as far as legal representation, but also the pain points that they're experiencing when they are reaching out for an attorney. Many times, are they looking for just clarity on how the legal process works, how to typically work with an attorney, how do I reach out, and more importantly, maybe they're just looking for information. I think oftentimes in a direct response strategy, it's like, book an appointment, hire us now, whereas nowadays we're finding that perhaps if you provide a bit of nurturing content, we see great law firms that come out with ebooks, guides, books, blog posts, educational content, FAQ videos, things like that can help to nurture prospective clients. Those clients become much more apt to reach out when they've been more educated and they've built more trust. And then finally, when you do have this great content, being able to just distribute it and really get it out there into the marketplace. So some examples of content like this are client reviews and testimonials, white papers, blogs, case studies, books or any speaking engagements, and then FAQs and educational videos. So if we talk about, let's say, customer-centric video content, and I don't actually think this is just limited to video, I think it's all content, but one is just having a customer-focused message, like why do you enjoy representing your clients? This is all about them. Right? Using emotional storytelling, like how does it feel when you're able to help a client? Hopefully good. And then empathizing with prospective clients, showing them that you know how they feel and mean it. So empathy, being able to really connect. Chase, any other thoughts on this?
No, not to push up Chris video too much, but I was talking to a client. I showed him one of your videos, and it was just a remarkable video that you guys produced. It just connected on an emotional level with me. I think it was like somebody was like contemplating their life, like walking out on a dock near the ocean. It's just like a level up from the old lawyer commercials where it's, have you been hurt in an accident? With it's just creating content that's going to connect with somebody 100% on the same page there. But wanted to give you and your team kudos for really living up to what you're preaching right now.
Well, thank you, thank you. And as we always say, that if goofy iPhone videos would move the needle and attract the best clients and cases, that's what we would be in the business of doing. But we have found that when you've got really great emotionally engaging content that helps to improve the brand and perception of a firm, that is what actually does attract those discerning clients. So speaking of that, is I think this might be the second to last millennial strategy. I believe so. That is social proof. So social proof is absolutely huge amongst millennials. And if you're wondering what about the power of social proof, if you've ever been on Amazon, so I don't, it's interesting. Years ago, I used to ask when I would speak at speaking engagements, if show of hands, how many people have bought something on Amazon? And nowadays I ask how many people have not purchased something on Amazon. I'm literally just curious if there's anybody still living on this earth that has not bought anything off of Amazon. And it's less and less people. It's almost none. So that's amazing. But when you look at the power of social proof on Amazon, we're always looking at reviews. So how likely are you to purchase an item on Amazon with 0 reviews? Can you imagine like that incredible risk? I mean, you'd sooner buy something with 3 stars or 4.5 stars. And you look at these two tin money banks. Not that anyone would ever actually want an Alabama Crimson Tide money bank, but between the two, which one are you more likely to buy? And perhaps it's the one with 79 customer reviews. So 70% of people trust a review from someone they don't even know. 92% read online reviews before making a decision, and 85% read up to 10 reviews before making a decision. So social proof is absolutely huge. And this is where you can leverage this with your Google reviews. And there's different types of social proof. There's expert proof, which is when another attorney, for example, someone in the legal space recommends your services. It could be somebody endorsing you on LinkedIn or Avo. User proof are when clients are actually leaving reviews, whether it's on Google, Facebook, they do a testimonial video. Or the wisdom of the crowd, when a large group of people start to endorse your brand. So you develop a large social media following. Let's say you have 100+ Google reviews. So we've seen law firms that go out of control with this in a very good way, where they'll have over 1,000 Google reviews because nothing can be done in moderation, right? But that stuff, I don't know there's a huge downside to having that. It's certainly better than 3 or 4. And when you can leverage that, and then you can actually show that off. So one is just when people are searching in Google, they'll see those Google reviews. The other thing is just the fact that you can actually embed. So if you want to encourage more reviews amongst your clients, you can embed a link in your email signature to actually help people know where to go to leave a review. Include a reminder when your clients are at your office. Personally, this is an innovative strategy. Personally, ask every client to leave a review for their experience once their case is settled. This works especially well right before you give them a settlement check, and then encouraging reviews on social media. But I'll tell you, it's not rocket science, although it is still surprising how few do it. But just being able to, you can't get a review oftentimes unless you ask. And if you're willing to put this into a process within your firm where you're continuously asking for reviews, you'll find that you're getting much more of them. So having this can really help to build social proof, which will increase your online visibility. It'll occupy valuable real estate in the search listings. So if you struggle to get search rankings, those Google 3-packs are a great place to rank, especially in competitive markets. So anything else, Chase, that you would add in terms of reviews?
Yeah, we've seen direct correlation to rankings to Google reviews. So essentially, the more Google reviews you have, the better your rankings are. We've seen it multiple times.
So now we've arrived at the final millennial strategy, which is social responsibility. And this one is so important, as we save the best for last. So what is social responsibility? And that is, it's a term for any initiatives or philanthropic efforts that a company makes to improve the environmental or social well-being. So what it means is that your organization exists for reasons beyond simply making money, which millennials can really appreciate. And the reason why this matters is that 70% of millennials are more willing to spend money on a brand that is socially conscious. And 81% of millennials expect companies or corporations to make public commitments to their community. And 93% of millennials have better opinions about brands that exhibit social responsibility. So this is one of those things. If you want to get more millennials on board, reaching out to your firm, you can do good by doing good in your communities, whether it's a nonprofit, whether it's different types of community outreach, where you are literally helping to make your community better, and not just in the legal services you provide, but literally in the, maybe you're passing out turkeys around Thanksgiving, maybe there's a nonprofit organization that you sponsor, whatever that might be. Millennials are greatly appreciative of that. There's a few brands, just as examples, that do this quite well. Tom's Shoes, for every pair of shoes purchased, Tom's donates a pair of shoes to someone in need. Warby Parker, the same thing. And then Target has donated over $1 billion supporting education over the last 8 years. And if you ask any millennial if they'd rather shop at Target or Walmart, you would have a unanimous response to that. So social responsibility is absolutely huge. Like I know that, Chase, you guys are doing quite a bit of this within your organization. Talk about some of the philanthropic stuff that you guys are doing.
So every single quarter, we give our employees a day off, and they basically help the community. So last week, actually, everybody, regardless if you work out of our Orlando office or remotely, you went to your local food bank, and we were passing out. So I was in Seattle visiting my business partner. So we were there passing out food to the homeless. Next quarter, we're going to be going to a shelter to walk dogs. So I mean, it ranges every single quarter, but it's good to bring your employees together, and also give back to your local community. It's really important.
Absolutely, absolutely. So as we talk about this, and we have numerous clients that are engaged in various aspects of their community. I mean, from sponsoring festivals to donating helmets to even things around holidays and so on. These are things that make a huge impact, and also are especially valuable when, if you're dealing with a Goliath law firm that comes into your market, buys up all the billboards and TV commercials. This is a great way that you can actually compete with firms like that, in the sense that you are penetrating the community, that you're not just a saturated advertiser, that more importantly, you care about your community, and communities are loyal to that. So being able to build that community is extremely important. And always remember that the goal is not to necessarily make your services, like legal services, the real value, but the experience of working with you as the real value. So being able to stress those things. And to recap, when we talk about the millennial generation, they're making decisions largely through social media, mobile search, and they love instant gratification. And you can really leverage this and engage with them in a way in which they want to be engaged, through creating customer-centric content that's focusing on them, on your audience, that is specific to them, that's not so much about you, but is more importantly about them and their experience, what they have to gain. Social proof in the form of reviews, and then social responsibility in terms of just being able to make a impact in your community and doing good, and being able to show that, look, it's making money is important, but that is not the only thing we do around here. We also sponsor these nonprofits. We help to make our community better. So I want to thank you guys for just taking the time to spend this past hour with us throughout this webinar. For those of you that are interested in downloading the first chapter of The Game Changing Attorney, where I spent a year of my life interviewing 100 of the fastest growing firms in America, and then basically broke down all the things that they were doing to grow their business. So I promise you, it's not a crisp sales pitch, and you don't have to buy a crisp video. But if you do want the first chapter of the book, just go to crispvideo.com/chapter1. Or if you don't want that free chapter, you can always pay for the book on Amazon or Barnes & Noble or Audible. So that is okay too. So, oh, and finally, speaking of social responsibility, 100% of the proceeds of the book, literally, I donate them to Highest. So that literally, it all goes to nonprofit. So that is all for me. Chase, this has been an incredible experience. Do you have anything else to add?
Buy The Game Changing Attorney.
That's right.
I really appreciate you coming on today. I want to thank Lawyers of Distinction for helping us promote this event, and I look forward to hopefully hosting another one of these with you down the road.
Agreed. Well, thank you again. I've been honored to join you on this webinar, and thank you for everybody who is taking the time out of their day to learn about millennials and how to market to them. Thank you, guys.